Hi, welcome back. This is James again, and thanks to a commenter, he pointed out that 17 was missing. Well, 18 is actually part 17, and part 19 was part 18. And I went in and fixed the titles on that. This video, however, is actually part 19, like the true part 19. And so where we left off, Izuku had been in the hospital for a couple of days, and he set up some time and stuff in place to meet All Might and Katsuki. And so and this is where he goes into in depth about what was going on when he was in the coma. So basically, he explains that that lady was communicating with him for almost the entire time, explaining their quirk, because apparently we both have a very similar quirk, and she's like some distant cousin from the past. And was alive when All For One started to do his thing, and she's basically been in hiding for the past 60 70 years, and that they basically have been fighting for the better part of 200 years, and this is just making All Might kind of confused and everything. And then Izuku explains that she basically has the same quirk as me, but her bonds had a max of 2, and her superhuman didn't really give her a lot of physical strength. It just gave her an adaptation, and she adapted to live longer. And she explained that this is a passive kind of a passive recessive quirk for our family in some weird way, that my kids will probably take more after their parents with an enhanced version of their other parents' quirk, and they have a passive gene, and when it activates they gain similar quirk, but it can be mutated or be different. And basically explaining that it's a hybrid quirk. The more when someone bonds with another person, my quirk basically allows me to take on some qualities of that person's quirk, and in return I give a portion of my abilities in return for part of their abilities. And so it's and Mizuka's yeah, it's kind of all for one, but there's an equal exchange. And so they're sitting there talking, and they're going over everything that has been happening with them. And All Might, so part of the exchange between your quirk and All For One when we did the bond is it activated Black Whip for me. And Izuku's yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why you can access, both of us can access Black Whip, is because not only because I was ready for the power according to what the vestiges were saying when you passed the quirk to me. But when we did the bonding and everything, like, it basically gave you a boost to where you could handle Blackwit. And then Katsuki's like, but what about us? And Izuku's like, well, you know how we can hold the power within, like, we can hold the power, like, we have better control over our quirks, and like they kind of evolved to where like we can somewhat expand them out of our bodies. And Katsuki's like, yeah, like how now I can concentrate the explosion in a point and keep fueling it with oxygen from the surrounding area if I wanted to, or oxygen from my own body, and make them stronger. And he's like, yeah, exactly. And then with me, I'm able to like I'm able to do like I'm able to absorb the damage someone else has and transmigrate it to my own body. That sort of came about after Mom. Like that, a part of that basically comes from like my mom's feelings and everything and her quirk. And then he goes in to explain if either one of them like dies, he would sense it and their quirks would evolve once again. Pardon me. Would evolve once again to where, like, if, like, he says, if one of you died, like, the other two's quirks would evolve to, like, take on more properties of the fallen persons. Because of my quirk, like, it basically has my DNA and stuff inside of you guys, and it's working incongruent with your own quirk. And he says, and this is for lack of better words, when the host of said DNA like expires, it transmigrates like more of the qualities of that person's abilities. And this is like makes Katsuki think. He's like, so that's why my explosions got way more powerful. And Izuku's like, yeah, and that's why like my muscles and my workouts and everything like increased, and like I'm able to regenerate more and able to do like the damage relocation. And then once I inherited one for like when I did a bonding with All Might, it gave us like those tiny power like enhancement, like those small enhancement quirks. But then when he passed All for One down to me, my quirk evolved to where like now I like every person I bond with can get that power boost that we received when I bonded with All Might. And he goes on to explain that basically that's what happened with you, All Might, is that once I inherited One for All, like my quirk sent a mutated version of All for One to the people that I'm bonded to. And like this kind of explains everything that has been like happening to them over the past few years. Because ever since Izuku inherited One for All, like weird stuff had started to happen between them. And then it's something he didn't like mention to them at the time because it's something that he doesn't think he should share with anyone, but he can like if he wanted to, if he meditated and concentrated, he could get in contact with this lady. So that being said, we move on, we skip to the next day, and Katsuki is still trying to take in what Izuku had like told him about like their quirk and everything, and how like Izuku's quirk kind of hybridizes like other people's quirks and transfers like portions of power and qualities of someone's quirk. So basically, his so him during like their morning workout, Katsuki's like, so basically your quirk fuses other people's quirks that you bond with in weird ways, and then it applies those qualities to the other person's quirk as well. And Izuku's like, yeah, like now that you think about it, like that's the easiest way to explain it. And Katsuki's like, dang nerd, you could have just said that. And Izuku like kind of looks, like puts his hand on his head and like scratches it. And he's like, yeah, you're probably right, and like kind of chuckles at it. So they're working out, and they're not doing their normal workout because Katsuki and Izuku, like Katsuki didn't want to like go really hard, and then Izuku like tries to match up because he's still concerned that Izuku may not be at 100%. But it's not that. So later on that day, like after Izuku, like later on, like that morning, Izuku and Katsuki eat breakfast, and as they're leaving, Katsuri like runs up to Izuku and like is hugging him, and has like kind of with like tears about to form on her eyes, like, "Are you gonna be okay? Like, don't like be safe." And Izuku like picks her up and hugs her, and it's like, "It's fine. Like, I won't hurt myself again." And like I won't worry you again. So they make their way to school, and then when Izuku, because Katsuki got special permission to like live off campus until like Izuku got out of the hospital, and like basically they were packing up like some things to take to like the dorms. So later that morning, like they get to UA, and Katsuki shows Izuku to like the dorms and basically explains like the dorm system to him, because he was there for the first day, but then he asked if he could stay at home to like help his parents with his little sister because of what's going on with Izuku being in the hospital and everything. And the school made special concessions that Katsuki could go home on the weekends, or that their little sister he could watch their little sister at the dorms if he needed to. So he accepted this. And so Izuku, when he comes through the door, like everybody's like kind of like freaking out. They're like, "Wait, you're awake? What's going on? Like, are you okay? Like, Izuku, like, are you okay?" And like everyone, and like Izuku kind of noticed that on his way to UA, every person that they walked by would kind of look at him. And after everyone's like got like they settled down and everything, Momo and Kendo kind of like walk up to Izuku and give him a hug, and he like kind of puts his hands on their, like he kind of like tells them that, "I'm sorry for worrying you, like I should have woken up 2 weeks ago when," and then he stops and he's like, "I'll explain it later." And then they kind of just like look at each other, and then they like kind of nod at Izuku, and they're talking about like what he had missed, because he does have to catch up on 2 weeks of classwork. And so Momo, Kendo, and him are sitting there, and they're kind of going over classwork with him, and he's basically kind of flying through everything, and he basically finishes like all the work that he missed out in like half a day. And like they're kind of like, are you what?" And Izuku's like, Oh yeah, apparently what I did and like the recovery, and he's like apparently like my quirks got better and I'm able to like see things like like I'm able to like think faster for some weird reason. I think it may be because like I spent 2 whole straight weeks like meditating straight. And Izuku's like trying to play it off. Sorry. He's trying to like play it off and not really like make them worry because he realizes if he explains to them about the woman at this point, like they would just get extremely worried and possibly frightened about it. So they've been talking like all day, and Izuku like tells him like I'm really like he looks down, and he's like I'm really sorry that I like worried you two that much, but like I just I really couldn't let All Might die. Like I don't know what it is, just something changed in me in that moment, and I couldn't stand there and watch him die. I just had to act. And this is when Kendo like comes up to him because everyone's kind of like started to go off and do their own thing. And Kendo comes up to him and like just starts like crying, like got like hugging him and just started crying, be like, I'm sorry, like I'm sorry you had to go through that. Like it's my fault. It's all my fault. If I was more careful, I would never. They would have never abducted me, and you would have never had to go there, and it would have never gotten out of control that much. All Might could have been able to go 100% at the start of it, and like you wouldn't have had to do what you did, and it's like my fault. And this kind of shocks Momo because like Kendo never really said this, and like she kind of like comes up and like kind of holds Kendo a little bit, and she's like, I'm sorry, I never like noticed this. And then Izuku like hugs both of them, and he tells Kendo, it's not your fault, Kendo. It's my fault you even got involved. Like they even got involved with it. Like what I did at the USJ, they like the carry hands guy and that portal dude. He like they saw like what I did for you, and they assumed that me and you had some kind of connection and everything, and so it's my fault you were even in that situation. And this is when Izuku's like bowing down and apologizing to like the both of them for like ever putting them in the situation to where they can get hurt like they do. And this is when Izuku like they kind of like pick Izuku up, and they're like, you don't have to apologize. This is something we kind of realized would potentially happen if we got involved with you. And like a single tear like comes down Izuku's face, and like and it's not like a sadness tear. It's like him like being really happy at this point. And then after they've calmed down and everything, a few minutes afterwards, like they're eating, and Katsuki comes up and he's like, so you also have another ability, don't you? And Izuku's like, what do you mean? And it's like, well, I think we need to explain your quirk to Uraraka. And Izuku's like, what do you mean? And Katsuki's like, well, you kind of somehow I just don't know. Like, is there any place we can really go to, like, be secret? And Nizuka's like, why don't we just all go to the beach? It's been, like, over 2 months now. Like, the building should be safe. And, like, the meeting room we had, like, I had put into the plans and the architecture, like, it should be as safe to talk there as possible. And Izuku and Katsuki, Momo, like Katsuki like tells Araka to like meet them outside after class that they're going to town. They're going like to the other side of town for something like this afternoon. And Momo and this kind of like Momo and Kendo were like asking Izuku what's going on, like what does he mean about your quirk, like doesn't it do this? And Izuku's like, yeah, it does do that, but there's also something else. And Izuku like asks Izawa for him to like have a half day off because he's not feeling too well, which Aizawa understandably says so. And so Izuku starts like his way to like the building to make sure everything's ready, and he's wanting to like have like some drinks and like food and stuff like that delivered. So he stops in at the cafe that him and Katsuki usually go to when they come to the beach, and he goes to like pay for it, and the lady's like today you don't, I hear like you won't pay for anything. And this kind of like takes Izuku back, and he kind of insists on paying, and the shopkeeper begrudgingly says like yes, because Izuku literally won't take no for an answer. Because like as soon as he was walking off, like he just put money on the counter and just ran. So the shopkeeper's running out and was like, take your money back, and like, sorry, but I've gotta go. So Izuku like kinda got out of there after leaving like some like actual cash on the counter. Like in like this little like drawer thing. So he gets to the building and he's surveying the area, and then um All Might like comes out of the building, and then like walks up to Izuku, and he's like, so you decided to finally come and check the place out? And Izuku's like, yeah, like, but what are you doing here? And All Might's like, well, Katsuki said that you're going to explain your quirk to him, man. You might as well explain the whole thing. And Izuku's like, I'm sorry, like, should I like not tell them about my one for all? Even at this point, All Might tells him, well, young Midoriya, this is your secret to keep. You're the current wielder of one for all, and you basically saved my life, so I'm indebted to you. I can't tell you how to like live your life, young man. And this is like kind of shocked. Like this kind of makes Izuku quiet down a little bit, and he's like, I'm sorry you had to like go through that because of me." And I'm just like, "Don't worry about it, young Midoriya. You were just doing what you normally do." So, Raka, Kendo, and Momo arrive, and like they go into like this meeting room, and Katsuki's like right behind him because like he had to like turn in some paperwork and stuff for like a new suit to the support class and everything. And so he arrives, and then Momo, Raka, and Kendo like ask him, so like, what's up with your quirk? have you been like lying to us about it? And Izuku's like a little flustered by this. He's like, no, 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 no. It's not that. It's just I haven't told you everything about my quirk, how it works. So then, and he says, and this is really hard for me to talk about because it also involves my mother. And at this point, like, the girl's like anger is kind of subsided a little bit because they know Izuku doesn't talk about Inko, or in this world as she's known, Shield Maiden, that much. And they realize like the severity of like the conversation they're about to have, and like they have like kind of like looks of worrisome on their face, and Ezekiel like sees this and is like, no, it's nothing bad, it's just and All Might and Katsu like type up, and he's like, go ahead, young. All Might's like, go ahead, young Midoriya, it's okay. And Katsu's like, yeah, man, like this is on you. It's not really my decision, and I'm kind of sorry, Uraraka, about Uraraka. And so, over the next over the next few hours, like, Izuku kind of explains everything, minus the woman parts where like he can get in contact with her if he wants to, just by simply thinking about it in a meditative state, because it's a little technique that she taught to Izuku, and that's partly why she's able to communicate with him. And what she did was make that like a two-way ability for him, basically giving him a slight power boost. And then he goes on to explain that he thinks his quirk may have evolved because he says him and Katsuki have always kind of had like this weird emotional connection since they were like young, and that probably evolved with his quirk going into overdrive to like save his life and everything. And he says that the fight, like what I did, is extremely dangerous, and I almost died doing that, and I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do that ever again without sacrificing my life. And this is kind of like worried, like, and he's just like, I'm not going to do that unless it's the only way to save the people that I care most about again. And he's like, I'm going to get strong enough to where I'm never put in a position like that again. And then Ochako like says the fabled question. She's like, so why are you telling us this? And Izuku's like, well, you kind of overheard like Katsuki saying something, and I figured I'd best explain it so you don't like get the wrong idea. And this is when Momo and Kendo piped up, and they're like, so why are you telling us this? And Izuku's like, just kind of looks at him and is like, I thought we were dating. And Momo like, didn't you forget, we're technically sort of engaged. And this kind of makes like Momo blush a little bit, and Kendo's like, that's just for you, like that's just temporary. And this kind of makes Izuku slightly, his face turns a little red at this. And so they base, and Izuku and Katsuki, like Izuku's looking around the building and everything, and Katsuki's like, yeah, like what do you think? Like they did a pretty good job, right? And Izuku's like, yeah, but like, wasn't this supposed to be finished like next year? And this is when like like Kendo, like Momo pipes up and is like, you, no one's told you, and you haven't seen the news yet, right? You haven't picked up a paper. And he's like, no, why? And it's like, do you realize what your public image slash brand is like right now? And he's just like, no, what's going on? I mean, I did notice on our way to school this morning, everyone was kind of looking at me, and then like he explains the thing, and this is when Kotsky like kind of does like a face palm, and he's like, dang, bro, and you call me the dense one. And he's like, no, dang, bro, like, and people call me the dense one. And so he, like, they showing the newspaper and explain like what everyone thinks about him, and he's like, what's going on? What? And it's like freaking Izuku out, and like he calms down and he's like, so basically people already view me as a hero, but yet I don't have my license. And at that point, Katsuki and like Katsuki, Araka, Kendo, and Momo have like said, oh yeah, we forgot to mention next week we were supposed to be doing like our provisional license exam. And this kind, like, Izuku starts laughing and smiling, and like everyone's kind of shocked at this because Izuku never does this. Like, he never laughs and smiles, and it'd be like actually 100% genuine. And like he sees their faces, he's like, "What's wrong, guys?" And Izuku, and they're like, "Izuku, are you sure you're okay? Because you've been acting weird. Like, you just haven't been yourself." And he's like, I guess hearing that one talk and what she had to say, and he didn't go over the fact that she's the one that killed his dad, it kind of gave me closure on a bunch of stuff. And he says, like, I hope one day she'll like I can meet her again in person so I can properly thank her for the help that she's given me. And everyone's just like shocked about this. So with that being said, this is the end of part 9. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And I wanted to like get this out because I hit 70 subs. So with that being said, I apologize for the backtracking or the minor stuttering issue that I was having, and it took so long to get the previous part out. And enjoy your day.